encountered unforeseen challenges as a team, as a league, and as a nation. Our entire staff has been fantastic navigating COVID-19 and the many challenges that it has presented. With that said, I'm very excited to be here as our training camp begins. When I joined the Bulls in the spring, objectives were established for change. We continue to evolve as a team on all levels, and I'm confident that we are moving in a direction that will revitalize our organization. This process would not be possible without the stewardship and support that we have received from Jerry and Michael of Reinsdorf. They've been tremendous. They are just as committed as I am to make the city of Chicago proud of the Bulls once again. This shortened preseason has not given us the opportunity for a typical workouts would like to have in training camp. So still there's a sense of optimism and excitement that we'll soon be back on the floor together as a team. So our bridge, our mini camp in October generated a lot of enthusiasm, and I expect this team to bridge that experience with this next one. Now under the leadership of Coach Donovan. Billy has been unbelievable with our players and our staff. I know that our entire coaching staff and the players are ready to get going. Our first priority is the safety and health of our players. We must acknowledge that they have not had true NBA competition for close to 9 months, though they've been committed to staying in shape and working hard in the off season. This shortened preseason must be factored in with caution as they throttle up to NBA pace and demand. The excitement at the Advocate Center is tangible. We're ready to get things underway and look forward to sharing the season with the city of Chicago. Ready, Matt, for questions.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Cheryl Ray Stout, you're up first. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Arturas.
How you doing?
The fact that you don't have a bubble like the NBA had during the summer, that you did have a little bit of a mini camp, but how difficult is going to be the challenges of keeping people safe? What are the day-to-day routines that the players have to go through? And when you go on the road, those difficulties of not having those safety measures?
Well, they're going to be, it's going to be day to day. There's a ton of protocols that we're going to have to follow. We still don't know what it's going to look like. The league is sending out protocols on a daily basis. We haven't traveled together during this time, so it's going to be something new. So I think we're in wait and see mode, but we stick into protocols and we're very careful because I think very important for our season will be availability. Staying safe and available will be the key. So daily discipline for our players and our staff is going to be very important.
Thank you.
Mike McGraw with the Daily Herald has the next question. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Arturas. I thought I'd ask you a couple of roster questions. Is Noah Vonleh here for a tryout, or is he? You expect him to make the final roster? Also, Max Strus, I think he was at minicamp. What's his update on his injury? Are you guys going to monitor him or anything like that?
Well, I think everybody's right now, in the camp. Noah's in the camp. I know him from Denver days, and I'm very excited to have him here. He's going to compete in training camp. We'll see what happens. In terms of Max, I think Max was going to the camp with other team. I think that was the case.
Casey Johnson with NBC Sports Chicago. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey, Arturas, how you doing?
How are you?
Good. What is the overall health of your roster? You mentioned kind of the different training camp, how you're going to kind of have to ease into it. But what's the overall health? Is everybody ready to go the first group practice?
I think they are. I think they, we obviously taking precautions and, we easing into group workouts where they're going to be at the end of this week. But so far, everybody's kind of taken day by day, and so far been in pretty good health.
Great. And if I could ask a follow-up, you added three players with ball handling abilities, but obviously Patrick Williams is a rookie. Garrett Temple is more a journeyman reserve, and Dotson is on a two-way. So how do you feel about your point guard position going into camp, and what do these moves say about your faith as Kobe White as a lead ball handler?
I mean, to say that we're feeling pretty good. Billy can talk about that as well. I think we have a lot of players that are versatile. The addition of Garrett Temple was they can play a couple guard positions. So I think we feel pretty comfortable going in training camp. And again, we're going to take it day by day because we haven't seen those guys compete in a long time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question, Arturas, comes from Steve Ashburner. Steve's with NBA.com. Go ahead, Steve.
Hi, Arturas. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm curious how this whole situation is going to impact the class of 2020 rookies. They would be maybe in Las Vegas right now, and here they are at the opening of Veterans Camp. What gets lost without the longer run-up for rookies in terms of their preparation and just for the teams and the rookies in terms of that Las Vegas Summer League experience?
Yeah, it's a crash course right now. They were just drafted and they're right in training camp. So you missed that Summer League that you have, practices and games, and then that would be a couple of weeks off after the Summer League, and then in August you start training, and you would have 8 weeks leading to the training camp. So that would be the sequence for the rookies, and this is just being cut, right? So you're ready in a training camp, and you're gonna be ready. Besides the basketball side of it, for the rookies is going to be quick learning of how to be a pro, and I think it's gonna fall, and obviously on our shoulders as a staff to bring him up as quick as possible, and it's going to be, their teammates helping them out during the training camp and teaching them things.
Should everybody dial back their expectations for the rookies and their impact, including the players themselves?
It depends on your expectations, so I think we like our rookies, and we like what we've seen so far in individual practices and why we brought him in here and why we drafted. So we cannot wait to see them in a team setting, and it's going to be a huge learning curve, but we're going to focus with the rest of the team. We're going to focus on player development and can we get better every day.
Thank you.
Joe Cowley with the Sun-Times is up. Go ahead, Joe.
Arturas, how you doing?
How you doing, Joe?
Good. Hey, two-part question. First of all, you now have had, as you said, 8 months to have a further evaluation of this roster, these individuals, the guys that you may deem foundation pieces moving forward, but you haven't seen it in game action. But what have you learned over those 8 months about these guys? And the second part is, at the end of the day, the standings are the standings. They were a 22-win team. Is it important for them to understand the roster makeup, understand that this thing is very flippable going into next season, and be almost uncomfortable that they are in a prove-it? They need to be in a prove-it mindset if they want to stick?
Well, in this situation, we have a clean slate, new front office and new coaching staff establish themselves. I think we need to establish consistent work habits, culture, and approach, inside our building. We are building the program. So cohesion and learning how to win takes time. We will build it the right way, no skipping steps. continuity is huge in our league. So our main objectives are focused on player development, getting better every day. The only perception we care about is what in this building. It's our confidence level, and what we think about ourselves cannot come from social media or what others think about us. It's all about this group on daily basis and what we think about ourselves. So what are our goals? And in this consistently changing environment, we take in, one day at a time.
And what's your evaluation of the roster over the last 8 months? Better than you thought? What you thought? I mean, where is that?
I think I mentioned previously that was my impression was better than I thought. And, the players been tremendous. Just the attendance of minicamp was great because every player was participating. So I think they've been compliant. They've been in the gym every day. They've been, working hard in off season. So the desire, to be ready for the season is huge. After 9 months of, been taken away, what they love is basketball. So they're eager to start, and and they cannot wait to get to work.
Thanks, Artur.
Jamal Collier, you're up. Go ahead, Jamal.
Yeah, it's serious. Ari was talking to us earlier about his desire to stay in Chicago, that he kind of expressed that to his agent. I wonder just kind of what you can maybe say about the nature of the contract extension, talks that you guys may have had. Is that something that you would like to keep him around long term? No, absolutely. I mean, we like Lowry, and we would like him to be part of this organization for a long time. So the conversations will continue until the season starts. The deadline is when the season starts, and we're gonna make every effort to get this done. Following up on it, I think you guys mentioned when you first came in that you're going to look into just sort of why his season last year didn't go, I think, the way that he wanted it. Just kind of what have you learned about just from watching the film about him, about why maybe it was a down year last year, and what things he mentioned that he may want to be a little more active on the floor, getting the ball. Like, what things would you like to unlock in him, I think, this next season? I think from the first day that I've joined this organization, I think we are focusing where we're going to be this year. And I think what we're going to try to do is maximizing every player, what they're good at. Again, we can come in with assumptions of what kind of style we like, but it might not fit the roster that we have. So, the objective now is for our coaching staff is to figure out how we can put our players in place to succeed and to win games. So everybody's ready for training camp, and we're going to try to work on it. Thanks.
Rob Schaefer with NBC Sports Chicago's up. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Arturas. When Billy was first hired, you guys both talked about the desire for it to be a partnership, the relationship between the two of you. You've talked about your working relationship with Mark Eversley and other members of the front office. I'm wondering, now that you've made some personnel decisions with Billy on board, the draft, free agency, what has the process been like between the two of you, collaboration-wise? How much are you communicating on personnel decisions?
We communicating every day. He was on our draft meetings. He was on our free agency meetings. He's involved, he's around all the time. We talk on a daily basis. He's been fantastic. So, I'm looking forward to see what it's going to look like, during the year. But we, like I said, communication is open, and it's a partnership. It's like I envisioned to be. But now the season is going to start, and we'll see how that's going to work out.
Thank you.
All right, Sam Smith, Bulls.com. Go ahead, Sam.
We didn't hear from you during free agency. Probably you were on the phone at times. What was your philosophy during free agency? I know you didn't have a lot of cap room like some teams, but it didn't seem like you used your full exception. Did you? And there were some players that, in theory, could have been starters. Did you not want to get a player? Because the player you brought in has not been a starter for the most. He started some last season, but probably not. So what was your overall philosophy looking at the kind of player you wanted to bring in and how much, that exception you wanted to use?
Well, probably because we were pretty happy with the roster that we had. We didn't have a lot of wiggle room to work with. We added players that are versatile. We added some leadership experience to the roster that we already had, and that was the mentality. And also, preserving cap room for the next summer, and using this season to look at our roster and evaluate and see what the long-term goals will be following the season.
Thanks.
Cody Westerlund, 670, the score is up. Go ahead, Cody.
Just when you evaluate the on-court play moving forward here into the season, what's your biggest concern? Is there a particular position, area, offense, defense? Just what's just the biggest question mark for your team?
There's no concern. It's just that cannot wait to see them, compete and play on the floor. I think just to have consistency in terms of practices and players available, and then compete in preseason to see what we look like. What our schemes, defensively and offensively look like, how they're going to execute what our coach is telling them. I'm just looking forward to it. I just can't predict what's going to happen right now.
Thank you.
Casey Johnson, you're up again. Go ahead.
Yeah, Arturas, just real quick, you touched on him briefly, but if you could give me the scouting report on why you added Garrett Temple.
Again, versatility, experience, leadership. Those would be my three things on Garrett.
Next question goes to Donovan Mayberry. No, go ahead.
Hi, Arturas. My question is about Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm.
You guys did keep the same roster essentially. So with him being your returning leading scorer and most talented offensive player, what do you need to see from him? What areas do you need to see him grow for you guys to go where you want to go this season?
Well, I think we as a team, I think he mentioned in his presser that, he wants to win. We all want to win. And he's been tremendous in this off season. He's been communicating with me every day, and with coaching staff, and like I said, the communication has been great. He cannot wait to get on the floor with those, with his teammates, and to figure out the ways how we can win the game. So, moving forward, like I said, he's been unbelievable individual player. He has a skill set that it's hard to find in our league. We just have to put it in a way that it's going to be in a team setting, and it's all about results. It's result-driven, league. So we'll try to figure it out how to win games.
When you get, just as a quick follow-up, Arturas,
Mm-hmm.
when you get to a player with his talent who's at a certain level already, does the improvement come at the margins, or what kind of improvement do you look for when a player is already at that level?
Well, I think we're gonna figure it out how to put him in situations. Would that be second ball handler? What kind of place we're gonna run? We're gonna take a look at last 5 minutes of games. There were a lot of close games in the past. That we lost. So I think, just figuring out those things, and, now we have a new coaching staff. So we're just gonna, like I said, use the training camp and preseason to figure it out how we can do this in the regular season.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, that looks like it concludes our Q&A with Arturas. Appreciate everybody's time today, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
I want to take this time to say thank you so very much for watching the Rewind Sports 60 channel. All sports, all day, encore presentation, and much, much more. Thank you so very much for your continuous support. Continue to watch continue to support. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day, and may God bless you. Now, back to the Rewind Sports 60 channel.
Done, but we just got to be diligent to stay on top of those things because obviously it's a very, very challenging time, not only for us, but for everybody.
The fact that you were in the bubble over the summer, did that give you some idea of what you can expect now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that I think we have to be prepared for, as a team, is this is going to be extremely inconvenient. And I think the best thing you can do is go in with an attitude and a mentality that it's going to be challenging. The no fans, the way you travel, the way you have to practice, the testing, all the things that go into ensuring, people's safety. It's different, and it can be challenging. And I think complaining about those things and those things becoming an inconvenience, you just have to accept. We all have to accept that, we're dealing with a different time right now, and this season for all of us is going to be like no other season, in NBA history. There was obviously half the league was in Orlando, and I think if you went through and spoke to the coaches and the players, I think they'd all say this is a totally different experience than any experience we've gone through before, and we're getting ready to go through it again, with every NBA team.
Thank you.
Billy, our next question comes from Casey Johnson. Casey's with NBC Sports Chicago. Casey, go ahead.
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
Good, Casey. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You obviously handed some people who can handle the ball in Patrick Williams, Garrett Temple, and Devon Dotson. But, Devon's a two-way guy. Garrett's a reserve. Patrick's a rookie. What do these moves say about Kobe White, your belief in Kobe White as a point guard, and how do you feel in general about the point guard position going into camp? Thank you.
Sure. I mean, I feel good about it. The one thing about, Kobe, although he, just completed his rookie season, I think he got a lot of valuable playing time and a lot of valuable experience last year. So, generally, I think you see players when they get that kind of experience, generally, make a jump and make some growth. And Kobe's a very competitive guy. He's a hardworking guy. And I would anticipate that, he'll make a jump. I think that the biggest challenge, for him and I is we've got a new coaching staff, coming in. That's always a little bit of an adjustment period. Takes time to build that kind of continuity and cohesiveness. But I think he really grew a lot. He went through maybe a difficult, challenging period his rookie year. And I think we were maybe one of the teams that was kind of in the middle of where he kind of went on that tear and was, averaging over 30 points a game for an extended period of time. So he's obviously going to be a vital and important part, of us going forward. We have other guys that can handle, to your point, Sato has been a point guard his whole career, Ryan Arch, I think, a guy like Otto and Thad and Lowry, we have a lot of guys that I think can handle the basketball and help fulfill some of that responsibility that Kobe will be, the primary ball handler.
Next question comes from Darnell Mayberry with the Athletic. Go ahead, Darnell.
Hey, Billy.
Hey, Darnell.
My question for you is about Wendell Carter. How much were you able to see of him the last 2 years? And from what you've seen since you've been with him, how much more is he capable of in your mind?
Yeah, I think for Wendell, obviously he's had to battle some injuries. A lot of these guys have had battle injuries. Their teams had to battle injuries over the last several years. So, again, with the virus, maybe some of the guys' past history with, missing games. I think the health of our team, becomes very, very important. And those guys have worked hard in that area. I think for Wendell, just watching him and being around him and even communicating with him, I think there's a lot of different things he can do. I think he can be a facilitator for us. I think he's got very good vision. He's a good passer for a big man. I think also, him being put in maybe some situations where he can kind of stretch his range a little bit and maybe do a little bit more on the perimeter. I think that will be a big part of his growth and development as a player. I think a lot of times for front court players in the NBA, a lot of times guys are dominant because of their size and strength, but because of a wider lane, bigger bodies, more experienced players, it takes time for a player to kind of carve out their identity offensively. and really carve out an identity of what they can hang their hat in and night out. So I do think that Wendell is somebody that's very bright. He's a smart player. He's an unselfish player. And I think he's a guy that can make people around him better. So, I've enjoyed the time that we spent together, but, again, like all these guys that, have very, very limited experience, so to speak, their growth and the player development becomes certainly a key part of our team. And, Wendell's development is important to our team as well.
Thank you.
Cody Westerlund with 670thescore.com has the next question. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Billy, I believe this is the first time we've gotten to talk to you about Patrick Williams. Just what position do you see him playing for you guys? And how much do you envision using him if he can prove himself well in camp?
Well, the one thing that's going to be hard, not only for Patrick, but I think for all rookies, is you think about when the draft took place and just how different it is for them. Generally, they'd have a draft, there would be summer league, there'd be an acclimation process. They'd have the rest of the summer to get better, kind of absorb some of the experiences through summer league, get ready for training camp. There was kind of a build-up process for the rookies. That's really changed right now. These guys basically went through the draft not too long ago. Everybody's in market right now, and there's a lot that they got to learn. I would say, just looking at Patrick, for the short time that he's been here, I think defensively, he's got the ability and the capability to guard multiple positions, which I think in today's NBA is really, really important for forwards. I think he has been a point guard for a good part of his career growing up. I mean, for his size and the way he can handle the basketball and the way he can pass, I think that's really a positive. I think those things will certainly translate. I think when to shoot, when to pass, when to drive, being a young player, he'll learn those things. But the thing I've been really impressed with is getting a chance to meet his family, getting a chance to spend some time with him. He's a great kid, extremely humble, I think hardworking, wants to learn, wants to get better. But I do think that he has got tremendous upside and tremendous ability. And, I think for all, young players, and especially him, they're just getting drafted now, all these guys are trying to figure things out because things are moving so quickly. And really for him, it's any rookie, this is a totally different training camp right now than maybe what most rookies have ever been exposed to. But he's very, very gifted and very talented. And hopefully, he will continue to evolve, as a player. I think like anything with an extended 3-point line from college, a wider lane, bigger people, there'll be an adjustment of the speed and the pace and the size and the length of the game. But he's a guy, I think, that over time and the experiences he'll be able to adjust to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Woodyard with ESPN.com is next.
Hey, what's up, Coach Donovan? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. You talked about the challenges of, this season and what they bring, obviously, with the COVID-19 and everything. But what steps have you taken specifically? Zach LaVine talked about, including him and, certain things, you talking to him, like taking that approach. But what steps have you taken to make this as normal as possible in like the new NBA, I guess, that we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I've tried to share with the guys is my experience in Orlando, what that was like and just how different it was, and that we cannot really focus on how different things are. We've got to kind of really be what I would say elastic. We got to maybe roll with the punches. We're going to have to deal with things that are going to be inconvenient. We're going to have to focus on the things that we have control over. Some of these things in terms of lifestyle and what these guys have been accustomed to is going to be a little bit different. But the biggest thing I've tried to do with Zach or, Thad or Otto and some of the veteran guys is just spend time with them, share my experience in Orlando, talk to them about, the kind of the mentality we need to have coming into this camp, how we progress out and build out to try to create an identity on offense and defense. Those things are going to take time with the new coaching staff, them getting acclimated to me and our staff and me getting acclimated to them. And, the one thing that's been good, a lot of these guys came back to market to kind of work out and train and stay in shape. And it certainly gave myself and the rest of our staff time to really start to talk to those guys and spend time with them and get to know them better.
All right. Good luck this year, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly with the Sun-Times is up. Joe, go ahead.
Billy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you?
Good. Hey, not to throw the former coaching staff underneath the bus, but obviously some of the guys weren't thrilled with the offensive philosophy from last year and kind of expressed that. You have shown that you kind of change your offense to the personnel. What are you thinking about generally for this group as far as what they will flourish in, just like projected starting five of how they need to play and how they can be successful?
Yeah, I think the one thing, Joe, watching them on film is I thought the group really competed and played hard. One of the things that I try to do, and I've obviously gone into different situations in college, going to Oklahoma City and now to Chicago, is I think the past is the past, and we need to focus on what's in front of us right now. I do think with this group, we have got to be really willing to. We've got to run, and we've got to really be willing to move and to cut and to help each other generate shots. I think that's going to be important for this group. I think the starting five for me, just it being so early, it would be hard to say what that would look like at this point in time. But I do think from an identity standpoint, what kind of shots can we create? How good of a shots can we create? I think, Zach is such a dynamic player offensively, but, we can't always rely on him being so dynamic. We got to rely on each other, so how can we build out a system offensively where, we're not only playing to guys' strengths, but we're creating a situation where maybe, the sum is greater than the parts, so to speak, where we're all helping each other. And I do think a lot of that now is we're going to have to move and cut and work to generate good shots. And I think that starts, on the rebound, being able to get out and run in transition. And I think it's really starts in the half court. We're going to have to really put forth a great effort. Now, I do think one of the challenges for us because of the season starting, how can we balance, as a coaching staff, as a medical staff, how do we balance that fine line of getting in great shape, but also understanding these guys need a ramp up time a little bit to get in shape. And, I think we've got to figure that out going forward. But I do think that we've got to be a team that's really willing to cut and move for each other.
One more question, follow up that. Zach's used to being that big dog the last couple minutes of a game and taking those last second shots. Do you still promote that because of how you feel about him as a player? Or like you said, there's a sum there that has to be built up, and he doesn't seem to be an overly selfish guy, but how do you balance, yes, I want the ball in your hands in the last couple of minutes, but also I want you making the right decision so other guys can succeed in crunch time as well. Just to build a culture of winning.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. I think one of the things that happens when you're an elite player offensively like Zach is, I always say this, having Chris Paul, having Russell Westbrook, Paul George, the ball at the end of the game finds those guys. It just finds them. What we've got to be willing to do is make the game easy for Zach and for each other at the end of the game. Certainly when the ball's in his hands, if he makes a play and it's not a shot, we've got to be able to get to the next action, the next, close out to attack and to do those things. I think to say to Zach, hey, we're just going to give you the ball and you got to bring us home every night. We got to help him. We got to help him, I think, through movement. We also got to help him if teams are really loading up on him. The next person may need to make a play. And we've got to all be responsible on the court to, in those situations, generate shots. But, if a team decides at the end of the game to trap Zach and to get the ball out of his hands and make someone else have to make a play, we're going to need some other guys to step up as well. I think that's something that's going to be important for this group to try to build out, when we get in a training camp of, how we can all play off each other and help each other. And listen, Zach is a guy that can get a shot anytime he wants, and teams are going to probably not want the ball in his hands, but it may lead to somebody else having to make a play. And we've all got to be willing to try to step up and make the next best play.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Billy, our next question comes from Josh Friedman with WGN TV. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Billy. Question about good, thanks. A question about Lauri Markkanen. Now that you've got a chance to study up the film, work with him now for a little bit as well. What are some of the things you and the staff can do, whether it's schematically, to just unlock his potential and get him to be that more consistent player that we haven't seen over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I've had some conversations with Lauri. He is a great guy. I think, as I mentioned about Wendell, Lauri, I think when he even came into the league as a freshman. I remember, telling our front court guys at Oklahoma City his rookie year, like, this guy can really, really shoot. And a couple times we closed out short and he drained a couple threes. The next thing you know, we're flying at him. He's going by you. And I do think with a young player as gifted offensively as Lowry is, it does take time for the league to kind of catch up to a player. And I think as people have seen him, and certainly he's had to battle some injuries, he, like Wendell, has got to really find, his identity offensively. Everybody knows he can put the ball on the floor and he can shoot it. But, can we, to your point, try to create some situations for him, where he becomes a little bit more difficult to guard? And I think it's twofold. I think one, it's, him understanding how to attack size mismatches. I think the other part of it too is having the team having recognition, in transition of when he's open to find him, because when you close to him, he's got enough skill to go by you. And then I think the other part for him is, him getting into the teeth of the defense when he does drive it, a physicality to, finish at the basket, get fouled, get to the free throw line. So I think Lowry has really worked hard this offseason. I think that he is going to continue to evolve and get better. What I do not want him to be from watching film is what I would say would be one-dimensional, just a catch and shoot forward. I think those guys become too easy to guard. So there's a part for him, for Wendell, for Kobe. They're young players. There's a development piece that they will get better and grow through their experiences, and how can we help him grow and get better? And then, in fairness to him, he's battled a lot of injuries. He's missed time, and it's hard, when you're in and out, and you're trying to get your rhythm and your timing back, those things can be challenging. So I think he's a very unique player. We've got to help him. He's got to help himself. But I think he's really, really open-minded because he can do a lot of different things. But, like I had, Gallinari last year, in Oklahoma City, and he was a real problem because, he at times could post, against smaller people. He ended up getting to the free throw line. You could kind of create mismatches, with him because of just his experience. I mean, he's 31 years old. I think these experiences that Lowry are going through right now is only going to help him get better as a player. And we, I think, as a coaching staff, have got to try to help him as well.
Rob Schaefer has the next question. Rob's with NBC Sports Chicago. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Billy, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Wanted to follow up on something you said about Kobe earlier and then touched on a little bit in your last answer, how you could foresee him making a jump this year. I'm wondering what specifically in his game do you want to see from him in terms of development, in terms of improvement that could facilitate that jump?
Well, I think one of the things that was really great for me, having a guy like Chris Paul last year or even Russell Westbrook, they are great verbal leaders. And I do think as a young player like Kobe, there was times last year he was on the ball. There was times he was on the ball, and he's obviously had some incredible runs scoring. But I think when you're at the point guard position, you've got to find ways to make the people around you better. And a lot of times that's through communication, that's through talking. I think that's an area that he, as he gets more and more experience, will be able to do. I think for him, I think the hardest position to go from high school to college or college to the NBA is playing the point guard position, because you're running the team, you're making decisions when you're out there, you've got to communicate, you got to do those things. And at the same point, he was a rookie last year and he's going through his own transition, his own experience as a player. That's a lot to put on him. So I think maybe the next step for him would be, he's a great competitor. He's really, really emotional in a good way. Like he really cares and he's passionate. How do you take that and now have that impact the rest of the group? And I think that would be the next step for him in terms of what kind of vocal leader can he become, as a point guard.
And another one for me quickly. Obviously, a lot of front office change this offseason, coaching staff overhaul. The roster is pretty similar. So that can mean continuity. It also hasn't, the roster hasn't performed up to the standard that they want to the last few years. What benchmarks are you looking for in your first season so that at the end of the year, to have this season be considered a success?
Well, I think the first thing is we've got to create some kind of continuity with the group. That's going to be really, really important. They don't know me other than the the time that I've been here. We've never gone through a game together or anything. So we're learning each other. I think that's important. And myself and the staff have spent a lot of time with these guys, over the last, several weeks. That's been important. I think the other part of it too, for us, is we have to, because I think last year we were the second youngest team in the NBA. We have got to have an everyday mentality of improvement and growth. We've got to continually get better and improve. I do think when you look at just to focus on the results, I've been around the game where, your team goes out there and doesn't play particularly well and you win. And there's also been times you play really, really well and you lose. What kind of standards, what kind of identity are we trying to play to night in and night out? And are we getting better inside that identity? And are we improving? And I think that's what you want to see on a regular basis is, having the standards and having an identity that you're trying to play to, and then trying to reach those standards night in and night out and in practice. But it all comes down to, can we continue as a group, to get better? I also think the other part that's important in growth is going to be how well we can handle adversity. There's a lot of games to be played. There's ups and downs for every team in an NBA season. How well can you bounce back from adversity? How well can you bounce back from successes? Where if you do win some games in a row, can you keep a level of humility to keep trying to grow and get better? When you hit a little bit of adversity, can you come in the next day with an attitude that we got to keep getting better and improving? And I think that, for teams that want to really compete at a high level, it's as much mental as it is physical. And I think for our group, we've got to focus on the constant improvement as a team day in and day out.
Thank you.
Billy, our next question here comes from Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic. Dwayne, go ahead, please.
Sorry about that. Coach, obviously, coaching Chris Paul last year, you obviously worked with Monty, played against the Suns in the bubble. When you see Paul going to Phoenix, knowing Monty and knowing the team the Suns have put together, how do you sense, how good can they be in obviously the very difficult Western Conference?
Well, I think adding Chris makes them better. Monty's got a much, much better feel for his team. I know Chris will come in there and bring incredible value to their group. Obviously, the guy's got a wealth of experience. He's a great competitor. He's an unbelievable worker. I just got done talking about, improvement, daily improvement. I would say for him, he is striving every second of every day to try to find a way to gain an advantage and get better. And I think he'll bring that mentality to Phoenix. Obviously, he and Monty have a relationship, from their time in New Orleans. I think it's a great situation where, Chris will really be able to help, Devin Booker. I think Devin will be able to help him. They've got some young guys around, both he and Devin, and Ayton and some other guys. But I think it will be a great combination. And I'd imagine that Chris will do a terrific job for their team.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Sam Smith with Bulls.com is up. Go ahead, Sam.
Bill, you have an unusual coaching experience. You basically came in and coached a future Hall of Famer and someone who was basically a top 10 MVP player each year, I think. We don't think that you have that here, but we'll see. How much was that an appeal for coming for this job? And does that change in any way that you'll coach this group compared to the way you coached the groups you had in Oklahoma City?
No, I don't think that had anything to do with me coming here at all. I looked at, the relationship with Arturas during that time that we spent together. That was important to me. I think the vision, the working together, that was really what was most important to me. I trusted Arturas, in the process, and Mark, when they shared with me the kind of guys that were here. My first year coming out of college and going to the NBA and having Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, those two guys, were great for me in terms of the learning curve that I had, so that was a great experience for me. There are certain guys, I think, as they've gained an enormous amount of experience. And for me, coming out of college, our first game I coached was against San Antonio. Well, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and Serge Ibaka and Nick Collison, they had way, way more experience playing against San Antonio than I did ever coaching against them. So I had a lot to catch up to because of their experiences. But I really felt like the relationship part working with those guys, was great. And I think that the one thing I would say about those guys that you mentioned that I coached, they were all extremely driven. They were all very, very motivated. And I really felt like in film sessions and in team sessions, you were able to really point out, areas that they needed to get better and they needed to improve upon, and then, if they're coming off a bad game, they got an incredible ability to get themselves ready to bounce back and play at a very, very high level. So, the time I had with those kind of level of players, I enjoyed my time with them, and the relationship piece to me, especially my first year, they were all extremely helpful to me. And I thought they worked incredibly hard. And then, having Paul George my last couple of years, he was a great guy to work with. I think the unfortunate part before he got traded was him hurting both shoulders. I don't know if he was quite the same coming out of the All-Star break after that. But my time with those guys, I really enjoyed. And you learn a lot from them because they really have an incredible ability, to get themselves ready to play. I was always amazed that they all go about it differently, but they all have a great ability to get themselves ready to play. So I don't think necessarily, I would look at it like, we didn't have those players here in Chicago. I mean, right now, that was anything to do with that. I was more interested in, what kind of relationship would Arturas and Mark and I have working going forward.
Our next question here comes from Mike McGraw. Mike's with the Daily Herald. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Billy, how you doing? Do you have any thoughts on how you'd like to use Otto Porter this year? He came here as with them thinking he was going to be a key piece, but from what we've seen before, there's got to be a lot of questions about how many minutes he's capable of playing with all the injuries he's had.
Yeah, I think those are all like things that we've got to be concerned about. I think I talked about a ramp up period, so to speak, with our group. I think for Otto, with the amount of time that he's missed, certainly him being healthy is the most important thing to our team. But, he's been back here. He's been working, which has been great to see. He's on the court. I've always felt like even his time in Washington, he's smart. He's got a really good feel of how to play. He can make a shot. He's a good passer. He's just been a guy that has really not been available very, very much since he's been here. So the more, we can keep him healthy and keep him ready, I think that really, really helps the group. But we'll have to see how he responds, once we really get through this individual player development, one coach, one basket, one ball situation, and can start to move to more 5-on-5.
Billy, our next question here comes from Larry Snyder. Larry's with ABC 7. Go ahead, Larry.
Hey, Billy. Zach and Lowry and even Arturas talked about the level of excitement in the building. How can you use that to your advantage coming out of the gate here and with all that you have to deal with the COVID and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope they'd be excited. If they're not excited right now, it's going to be a challenging year. The biggest thing to me is, can we have the same level of excitement today, in the middle of February, or in March? That's really the key point, I think, to improvement. I feel like our guys are working to get better. And I think you're always, when you're in a good frame of mind to work to get better, you're generally going to get better. So the biggest thing for me is, can we maintain enthusiasm? Everybody's probably excited with training camp starting. Some teams that haven't played in such a long period of time, everybody's kind of trying to get back, to a normal training camp where guys are practicing and playing. But I think when you're going through that, it's when you start to get to the grind of game 25, game 35, game 50, can you constantly have the same level of enthusiasm? So I think that's going to be the key, because if you don't have that same level of enthusiasm, what I said earlier about us wanting to have a mentality of constant growth mindset, can we grow? Can we get better? Can we improve? It starts with what kind of enthusiasm we come in with every day. And so far to this point, they've done a really, really good job, just bringing really good energy and life into the building.
Our All right, it looks like we got one last question here, and that's for Darnell Mayberry. So Darnell, go ahead and close it out, please.
Thanks, Matt. Billy, just what about the assistant coaches? You were able to bring some guys with you from OKC, but could you give us a breakdown of some of the relationships you have with these guys that you brought, and maybe detail some of the roles and responsibilities that each of them will have?
Sure. So Mo Cheeks, Chicago native, just coming out of college. Mo was with me for 5 years in OKC, 3 different head coaching stints in the NBA, obviously a Hall of Fame player. I always tell him this, he's a far better person than he was player, and he was a great player. He's a great guy. I think having a former player and a former head coach like Mo, in terms of him being able to discuss and communicate his experiences is really valuable, not only for the players, but even for our staff. So he's just got a wealth of experience and knowledge, got an incredible way about him. And he really, really knows that I think team dynamics, staff dynamics, and he's a guy that connects people and really generates and creates chemistry. I think that's important. I know, Otto and Thad, Zach have spent a lot of time, talking to him, which is great. I ended up bringing Billy Schmidt with me. Billy was with me for 1 year at Florida, and then he came and did a lot of quality control in Oklahoma City, and now he's an assistant coach and helping out with player development, scouting, on-court coaching. So he was great. My son was not with me, but he was in the video room with Monty Williams at Phoenix. So he's in the video room here with Chris Kent, who we kept on. The other person that I hired was Josh Longstaff. Josh worked in Oklahoma City before I got there. And actually, when he was the G League coach for Milwaukee, we tried to hire him. He stayed on with Bud there in Milwaukee. And then, always had a lot of respect for Josh, hired him here. Great worker, really good relationship with players, really knows the game. Like Billy Schmidt, player development, scouting, working on our defense. I think he'll do a great job there. John Bryan, I did not work with, but I know Brett Brown very well. I know Jim O'Brien very well. People speak of his character and who he is as a person. He and Josh will work closely on the defense. He'll also, work on the player development and scouting as well. And then Chris Fleming, who was here last year, we kept on board. So feel really, really good, about our staff, about the chemistry that's been able to be created between us. I think that's really important. I think when I don't know if I've said this before, but I think in a lot of ways, as a coach, you're asking your players to sacrifice. You're asking your players to, have chemistry. You're asking your players to, work hard. You're asking your players to, do the kind of things that are going to be necessary to win night in and night out. But I think if your staff can't model those behaviors, you shouldn't ask your team to model those behaviors. So the most important thing to me was not only getting people with high basketball acumen, but I really wanted to get great people. And I think we've got some great guys here, both, from the current staff and both guys that we brought in. So I'm really excited about the staff and the group. And although we haven't worked a whole lot together, we're getting to know each other. The other person who's in charge of player development, is Damian Cotter. Damian was here working with the Windy City team from Australia. He's been a great guy to get to know and to work with, extremely hard worker. He'll be a big part of player development, scouting. And then we also kept Paul Miller. Paul's been here for an extended period of time, and he's going to do a lot of quality control. He and I will work closely together on different projects and things like that. So, again, for me, it was a long, tedious process, in terms of really trying to talk to people and evaluate, what I thought our staff needed and what we all needed to work with one another and have those kind of relationships that, hopefully will generate the kind of results, within our staff that can help our team continue to get better and continue to improve.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
All right. That looks like it concludes today's call. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Billy, thanks for your time. And we'll see most of you guys tomorrow when we get after this again. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Relax. reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
Zach, I know this isn't the traditional media day, but still virtual media day right before the season starts. So we'll ask you the usual. What are fair expectations for this team this year? And what sort of goals do you have as a team this year?
I mean, we have pretty much the same team. We just have a new facelift of our front office and our coaching staff, and we're gonna have to work with that and continue to get better. I think we're all excited to see what we can do, under Billy and the offense and the defense that he runs. So
you guys can kind of show people that this is a playoff team, a team that's going to win games.
I mean, I think that's the main thing is we have to show it. Last couple of years, we haven't been able to show that, and we haven't been together as a team either. We've been injured, and there hasn't been a lot of consistency throughout our lineup. So, I think it gives them a chance to look at us to see what we have, and it gives us a chance to go out there and show what we can do. Because, to be frank about it, we haven't really shown anything. We have to go out there and prove that. So. I'm always looking for that challenge. I know me personally, I always try to find something to, get better on each year and, be a different guy.
Rob Schaefer with NBC Sports is up. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Zach. You've talked to us before about how you were excited to work with Billy because of how much he values player input. On style of play and things like that. So I'm wondering how much of a chance you've gotten to communicate with him and maybe what you've conveyed to him about, you personally, how you like to be used, the style of play that you like to play, what positions you want to be in, and how the team in general will play this season.
No, yeah, he's great. When he got the job, I called him, I talked to him, and then, throughout there, obviously he had to get his arrangement with his family. He was just coming from the bubble with OKC, so he needed to take some time off and, get into the gym. You have certain restrictions, but, I've been able to talk to him a lot and figure out, what our plan is. Now, obviously, I'm not somebody that's going there and try to tell somebody how to do their job or like what I can and can't do on the court, but.
What's up, Zach?
What up?
Obviously your season last year, you made a lot of strides, I think, in a lot of different areas. I know that the All-Star game was a kind of a goal for you. I don't think there is an All-Star game this year. But in general, just how you looking at your season personally, your performance? Like what things are you maybe focusing in on that you think you can improve on? What ways do you think you can take a next step? And how you going about that?
Yeah, each year I think I did a good job last year, just like I thought I did a good job the year before. I think I made strides over the last, each year I go in and try to get something better every year. Individually, I think I did a lot of, things right. But the main goal is to win games and how you can help your team win games. So that's the main thing I'm trying to continue to get better at. Obviously, with the attention I bring on offense, I can continue to be a better playmaker and a better defender. I'm one of the most athletic guys in the league. There's no reason I shouldn't be somebody to go out there and be a stopper. So I think I showed flashes that I just wanted to continue to, to show it and help winning basketball, because when you win games, it helps everybody, throughout the whole organization. So I know individually I'll be able to take care of myself. I've always been somebody to go out there and, and try to put the team on my back. But, I want to just be able to help the team win as well.
How do you think the long layoff is going to affect you? Good or bad, or either way?
Say that one more time. You kind of cut off.
How do you think that 9-month layoff is going to affect you? Good, bad, or either way? What do you?
I think it's going to be tough for, everybody that was off for those games, the people that weren't in the bubble, just because you haven't played basketball in almost a year. But, I've been working out. I've been playing games and coming into training camp, I think is going to be important that we get off on the right foot. And, I think for guys, usually your first 2 years, you look forward to preseason. And after that, you just want to hurry and get to the regular season. So I think this might be the first time in a couple of years that you're looking forward to preseason games.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Okay, Jace Frederick with the Pioneer Press is up. Go ahead, Jace.
Hey, Zach, how's it going? Minnesota question here, surprisingly. Ricky Rubio comes back to the Timberwolves. Just wondering what he meant for you in the first couple of years of your career, and how does having a point guard like Ricky make things easier for young guards?
Yeah, Ricky going back home essentially, and Ricky did a great job at Phoenix last year, just like he did in Utah years before that, and Ricky was really good for me. He just, whenever you're a 19-year-old, you want to look for somebody to help you and guide you along, and I had a lot of different vets on that Minnesota team. My first couple years, it was a extremely vet, with the biggest one being Kevin Garnett. So, but Ricky was great for me too. A pass first point guard with somebody who is so unselfish. He's looking to make plays for others. And, usually you don't get that, as a rookie, a guy coming in telling you where to go, be ready for a shot. So, I know with him, if I just ran the floor and used my speed, the ball would find me. So, Ricky's always going to be my guy.
Thanks, Zach.
Joe Cowie, you're up. Go ahead, Joe.
Zach, what's up?
What up, my man?
How you doing?
That's I'm a Raiders fan. Is that Steelers hat?
Come on, man. Standard's the standard. Hey, you know that the business of basketball more than most.
Mm-hmm.
This front office, this coaching staff really isn't married to anyone except probably Patrick, who they drafted.
Mm-hmm.
You hear rumors. You know what your contract is and how attractive it is. Do you come in with a little bit of an edge that, hey, I know these guys can move me. These guys, they didn't bring me here. So, I mean, is that in the back of your mind when there's a whole takeover of a new regime?
I mean, like you said, I understand the business of basketball, but at the end of the day, anybody can get traded on a team. Anybody can go anywhere, just like injuries can happen to everybody. So, as long as I'm on this team, I'm going to continue to, put my input and try to be a leader and show, what type of guy I am and what my value is. And, if it's something happens, it happens. I understand that. I got traded here, from Minnesota, and I understand it. So it's, things that happen. But while you're on this team, you have to be, all in. So I've been all in, since the first day I've been here. I really like Chicago, but if something were to happen, obviously I'm not a resentful person. I understand the business of basketball, and I just, I keep moving forward.
A follow-up to that, I know you've talked about you've been in this league, X amount of years and haven't seen a postseason.
Mm.
How much is that wearing on you, to not only for you to get to the postseason, but to get this organization back to the postseason?
It's a lot, when you put so much hard work in and, you don't, at least for me, I don't do this to be a regular guy. I don't, take my body to exhaustion just to, to be a role player or something. I want to be, I want to be great in this league. So to be great, you have to make your team better and you have to go to playoffs and play, winning games. And, I haven't got that part of my career yet and it sucks. And for somebody that wants to be at that caliber or that stage, being traded here, I wanted to bring the team back to the glory days and get toward that, that stature again. So, I work my ass off to get there and, hopefully I continue to, make the city proud, my family proud and go out there and do what I have to do.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Sam Smith with Bulls.com. Go ahead, Sam.
Hasn't worked the last couple of years and obviously a lot of other factors. How are you going to approach this season? Are you going to be any different? Are you going to say, well, I need to score more, I need to score less? You've had a long time to think about coming into this season. How are you going to be different, or you're the same and just add on to it?
With me is I'm just trying to get the job done by any means necessary. If that means I gotta go out there and score more, if I gotta be out there and be a facilitator, or I have to take a bigger role on defense, whatever it is, I just want to win games. I want to get to the playoffs. I want to continue to move this franchise forward. So, as somebody, I take that role on as being the leader of the team and being the best player. I want to be out there, be able to, adjust to how the flow of the game is and adjust to how, to win basketball games. So for me, it's just do whatever it needs, necessary. And I try to prepare myself. I come into camp as the most conditioned guy, and I want to come in there and make sure that, whatever role is, I have to take, I'll be ready for it.
Thanks.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions here. We'll do 3 more. Looks like 4 more, and then we'll call that a wrap. So let's start with Darnell Mayberry with The Athletic. Go ahead.
What's up, Zach? How are you?
What up, my man?
I got 2 questions for you. The first one's about you. The second one is about the team.
Mm-hmm.
But
you look slimmer. I don't know if it's Zoom or what, but I know you put a lot of work in the off season on your body. Could you just tell me what you did to your body, and especially after last season with the bumps and bruises you took, and just what you're trying to do, what you tried to do to make it through this 72 game season?
Oh no, I mean I'm around the same, man. Might be the Zoom. I'm probably like 207, 208, around the same I was, but I just try to stay in the best shape, man. Obviously I don't try to get too heavy, and you don't try to be too light, but I want to be strong in my size. I always feel like I've always been, extremely athletic and quick, and but still a wiry, strong guy. So a lot of the things I've been doing now is, getting my diet right and my recovery, making sure I get the right amount of stretching and recovery and massages, different things like that, trying to invest some money into my body, just to, like you said, make sure I can make it through the entire season. A lot of that was just because of the season that we had last year of not having everybody there. I had to, had to take a couple more bumps and bruises. So, I think I'll be prepared for that.
And then the second question about the team is, last year, you guys came into the season with a lot of confidence. Internal expectations were high. You made some comments about what you wanted to do. Jim Boylan made some comments about where he thought the team could be. Just everyone seemed to be really optimistic. Not saying that you guys shouldn't have been, but what gives you confidence this season will be different?
It's not like you said, confidence wise, you should be going out there and think you win every game, or you already lost. You have to go out there and think you're going to be a winning team. But for this year, I think it's more of just we have to go out there and prove it instead of just talking. You have to be able to walk the walk if you talk it. So we got to prove what type of team we are. We've said a lot of things, but we haven't got to go out there and actually execute it. We have a extremely well coached and a good front office, and we have to go out there and show what we can do. If not, obviously we know the business of basketball, something's going to change. So we got to go out there and do what we have to do to do that.
Okay, thank you, Zach.
All right, next question comes from Larry Snyder with ABC7. Go ahead, Larry.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
How you doing?
Without slamming anybody else, you've been through a lot of coaching staffs and regimes. Just wondering, does this front office, does this coach, does this feel a little different this year from what you've seen so far?
It's a different energy in the building. I'll tell you that. Like you said, I appreciate everybody that's helped me along the way and all the coaches. And, sometimes it's just the way that the NBA goes. But, like right now coming into this situation, obviously with the pandemic going on, there's still a big energy in the building. And, we have a liveliness to us and a willingness to work and go out there and prove what type of team we are. Obviously, we won't know that until we start playing, but, we can definitely get prepared and have the right attitude. So, this definitely has a different type of feeling to it because of a little bit more excitement.
Casey Johnson, go ahead again.
Hey, real quick, Zach, I know you worked with Drew Hanlon this offseason. Had you worked with him before, and what specifically did you guys focus on?
Yeah, I work with Drew every year. I'm somebody that, I still go back and I work out with my father a lot. I work out with my trainers in Seattle, but I always have time to find Drew either in LA or he flies to me, or, I fly him into where I'm working out at. And we just dissect a little bit of the game. He's a very, very smart, person. He watched a ton of film, and, this year we're working on some pick and rolls and some finishes and playmaking off of that, being able to slow down in the pocket. And then obviously just working on different parts of your game, just keeping it, refined. You never overhaul your game, especially if it's not broken. So you just try to continue to just get better at the things you're good at.
Thank you.
All right, we're at our last question here. It comes from Mike McGraw with the Daily Herald. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Zach, this is kind of a similar question to two questions ago, but I was just curious. I'm sure there's a lot of changes at the Advocate Center with all the, the safety issues, but with a whole new coaching staff, whole new front office, is there anything, have they tried to put their stamp on things right away? Do you walk into the building and there's something that's obviously different about how these guys are approaching things?
I mean, yeah, without getting into it, to too much stuff, it's like I was trying to tell them, it's just a different energy that they're showing their faces in here. I see them every morning. I get here around, 8 o'clock and they're already in the gym. They're on the court with you. They're talking to you about, not just basketball, personal life things. What things do you like around here? What don't you like? They want you to be upfront, and they're willing to change and hear players' opinions. So I think that's something that's been different in the past.
Okay, that's a wrap for Zach. Thank you for joining us. And
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Jump right into it. Casey Johnson, you lead off, please.
Laurie, it's your dream scenario. You don't have to see us all year.
I'd love to see you guys.
Yeah. I kind of want to just get your thoughts as to where you're at mentally with what the league's trying to pull off here. Obviously, you're not in a bubble, and the COVID cases are pretty legit these days. So where's your personal kind of concern level for COVID, and just what do you think of the team you guys need to do to navigate this season successfully?
I think we've been doing a great job as a team, and I think everybody's taking it really seriously that we're not doing anything extra. We control what we can control. We're going to do all the testing. We're going to stay away from people as much as we can, so we can get this thing going and play some basketball again.
And where's your kind of personal concern level? I mean, is this something that you're worried about getting, or are you just what's your approach as you move through the season?
Of course, you think about it a little bit, but at the same time, you kind of have to learn to live with it. At the same time, that's how I feel. But just like I said, we control what we control, and just kind of need some luck too, I guess. So nobody gets it, but everybody's doing a great job with staying away and do the testing and following the protocol. So it's looking good.
Thank you.
All right, Michelle raced out. Go ahead. You're up.
Hi, Laurie. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Laurie, with a new coach, with Billy Donovan, have you had conversations with him about your role and what's going to be like transitioning into another new scheme with a new coach?
Playing a lot, and it feels good, and just I feel like everybody's involved, and so I'm excited.
Has he told you specifically what your role is going to be, how he's going to use you?
We haven't had too much of a conversations yet, but we've talked about it, and I feel like I'm a big part of it. So I got to do a good job of following the expectations and playing at a high level.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic. Go ahead, Darnell.
What's up, Larry? How are you?
How are you, man?
I got two questions for you. The first one is about the team. Last year, you guys came into the season with a lot of expectations. What gives you confidence that this year will be different?
I mean, we're always being confident, and especially I think the guys we have here now, and just it's such a positive atmosphere, and I feel like everybody's just super excited to go and play. And I mean, obviously a lot of changes in the building, but like I said earlier, we can't control that. We just keep the positive mindset and keep working, and I think that's where the confidence comes in.
And my second question is about Kobe White. How much have you seen from him in the 9 months that you guys have been off, and what ways have you seen him develop and improve?
It's a lot more vocal. He talks a lot. Kind of. Maybe he keeps his mouth shut sometimes, but taking a step there. Obviously, we see him working all the time, so he's gotten a lot better. He looks stronger, and he shoots the ball really well right now. So I'm excited for him to have a big year too.
Thank you, Laurie.
Joe Cowley from the Sun-Times, you're up. Go ahead.
Lowry, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Hair's getting long.
Oh, I got it cut. Hey, did you get a PS5 yet or no?
For sure, man. You know it.
Hey, I know you don't look back, and you're not a guy that kind of dwells on what's behind you in the rearview mirror, but have you had a chance to kind of look at film or figure out, self-scouting, what you thought went wrong last year from inconsistency?
Oh, yeah, of course. And I'm the guy who always looks in the mirror first before complaining. And so I've been trying to look what went wrong, and just I've been trying to stay even more active on the floor, and just being involved and move a lot without the ball, make myself available, and just that way kind of work my way through it. But of course, I'm not worried about early in the season. I wasn't making shots, so I'm not nervous about that at all. Just that's going to keep coming from just the confidence that I have, the work I put in. But that's the biggest thing I've been looking at, just how to stay more active and be on the move on the floor.
How much of it was collectively you guys just not fitting with what they wanted to do, the old regime wanted to do offensively, as far as the threes and as far as sometimes it looked like you were just standing around as a decoy? I mean, did that play into it at all, or do you kind of point the finger at yourself first?
Like I said, I can't control what we do on the coaching side and what kind of plays we're running and stuff. I'm just looking at myself, and I think I wasn't as active as I should have been. So I'm looking at that, and of course, there's some times we talked about it with Jim and how we use me and run some plays for me, and we obviously talked about that. But just I'm looking at myself right here. So.
Okay, John Greenberg's up next. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Larry. Kind of with what you were just talking about, how does the change in coaching staff and philosophies, I know it's early, but you've talked to them, how do you think that's going to affect your game and kind of how excited you are about maybe what you can show this year?
I'm excited to have new guys coming in too, so I'm just trying to work as much with them, just talk with the coach and how to get to spots that I can be effective, and that's the main thing for me, I think. And just obviously I see the guys here working, and they all talk to the coach, and we're all here trying to get better, and just so I'm excited.
Just to follow up, Zach said there's a kind of a new energy,
right,
obviously in the building, which is expected. How have you seen that, and kind of how are you feeling about this kind of new energy? What do you think about it?
First of all, just being 9 months off, I'm sure everybody's just excited to play basketball and be around each other and just having a good time. And then just, of course, when the changes happen, that kind of brings we have even more to prove now. And just, so that's how we look at it.
Next question comes from Josh Friedman with WGN TV. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, Laurie. Two questions for you. Did you watch the bubble, and what was it like, not being able to participate and, seeing the playoffs unfold from afar?
Obviously, different kind of playoffs, not the atmosphere that there's normally, but I mean, it sucks to be on the couch and watching the game. So you were hoping to be a part of it, and obviously that kind of motivates us into next year too.
Then a quick follow-up for you. Knowing this is your final year of the rookie deal for your contract, do you approach this season any differently?
Not really. Like I said earlier, just control what I can control. I'm going in every day, just working as hard as I can and just be aggressive on the floor and do what I can do to make the team better. And I'll let my agent in the front office work on the contract side. So I'm not even worried about that. I'm just worried about what's going on the floor.
Sam Smith from Bulls.com. Go ahead, Sam.
Larry, I don't know how much you follow media, social media,
Not at all.
I figured, but your name has come up the most, as much as anybody's, with this group of players, as going forward with the Bulls' future. What's going to happen with you? What happened previously? Where you're going to? Players in your draft class, top players have gotten some extensions, and you just mentioned about contract. Is this a, sort of make or break season for you with this franchise and going forward? And how do you look at it going into this season, the importance of it, for you and your career?
That's how I kind of look at every season, to be honest. Just, I got to go out there and perform at a high level consistently. That's what I got to do. And so obviously I see the other guys getting, like I said, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to season with high expectations, no matter what happened last year, and I'm just really motivated to get out there and perform at a high level.
KC, you're up. Go ahead.
Laurie, I know you said you let your agent handle the negotiations, obviously, and focus on what you can control. But how much are you are you checking in for updates? Do you try to get information as to where the negotiations stand? And how confident are you that you guys are going to come to terms on an extension before December 21st?
Of course, I check in every now and then, but like I said, it's not something that I think of. I don't want to put too much effort, just spending too much energy in my day. Just think about it, because like I said, I can't control it. But of course, it kind of keeps me in the loop, and that's obviously, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully they can come to agreement. I can't say how likely that is and stuff like that, but like I've said before, and I really want to be here for a long term, so I'm pushing him to putting some pressure on my agent to get it done.
Thank you.
Darnell Mayberry.
Yeah, Laurie, I just wanted to know from you, what would make this a successful season in your eyes, individually for yourself?
Bounce back from last year. That was, at least I would look at it as disappointing myself. So just bouncing back from that, just kind of, I mean, I've obviously gotten the confidence back that we've had such a long time to work on it. And so I'm not even thinking about last year anymore, but just kind of motivating me. That's how I look at it. Just getting more active, like I said, fix the things I can control, and just go from there. And hopefully we can make the playoffs and make some push there.
Thank you.
Mike McGraw. Mike, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey, Lowry. How much did the pandemic affect how you spent your long off season? Did it limit how much time you could spend back in Finland, or how much time did you spend over there?
Yeah, normally I spend a little bit longer, so I came back a little bit earlier. But other than that, it didn't affect me that much. Just I was away from my family for a little bit, but other than that, the guys who know me, I'm just a guy who stays with the family and stays home and does nothing else except work out and spend time with them. So it didn't affect me at all that much.
All right. Darnell, you're up again. Go ahead.
Sorry, Laurie, I just wanted to get your impressions on the new rookie, Patrick Williams.
Oh, obviously he's been here now a couple times that I've seen him, and I think he can be really good. I've seen him just how well he plays defense, how physical he is for a 19-year-old. So it's pretty impressive to see. I wish I was like that at that age. So he's a really nice guy, and it's been my pleasure getting to know him, and so I can't wait to spend more time with him. And just on the court, I think he can be really good. He can do a little bit of everything. They always obviously talk about he can guard multiple positions, but I think he can play multiple positions too. So
what about his defense is already standing out for you?
I mean, he's long and athletic. Just how well he stays in front of the offensive player. That's just really great to see for our new rookie. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Lowry? Okay. Lowry, thanks for your time. Everybody else, thank you as well. We'll be in touch a little bit later and be back in a couple hours.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lowry.
Central Time kickoff. Our 5-5 Bears, 4 straight losses, trying to go up to Green Bay and dismantle Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer, on Sunday Night Football. Bruce, who do you got winning this one, man? How are you? Bruce here, and the former linebacker, number 51. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How about you guys?
Good. Well, great. You know what? It's been this
every time the Bears line up and lace them up, every Sunday or Thursday night, whenever there's a Bear game, you can feel the tension in the air. You can feel the electricity in the city. But dude, I think this type of electricity that we feel tonight, I think it's going to be, I say last week, they say we'll meet you at the quarterback, and we saw, when they last played and we saw they met Nick Foles and they beat the hell out of him. People are going to start saying tonight, for tonight's game, I'll meet you at the refrigerator so I can give me a cold one, because it's going to be a long night, bro.
You're going to need a lot of alcohol.
It's going to be a long night, man. What do you think? How do you see this unwinding up in Green Bay?
Well, I tell you guys, first of all, I want to say this. Get this out right now. I am never, whatever Trubisky gives us tonight and the rest of the season, I'm not going to complain, because I tell you, I was so disappointed in Nick Foles. And I know Nick was put into a tough situation because he's not a mobile quarterback, but with our offensive line not being able to block very well to protect the quarterback, Nick just didn't. He just didn't have a chance. He never had a chance. But you know what? It is what it is, man. With Trubisky, if whatever he gives us, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to go with it, because it's not his fault. The Bears gave up half the house to move up one spot to take him in that position. So he never should have been put in that position to begin with. So I'm on full for him. I got my fingers crossed, my toes crossed. Whatever he gives me, I'm gonna go with it.
You know what? The disappointing part about it, Bruce, and I don't believe you. I love you, and I know you're an honest man, and you speak the truth. I know that, but I don't believe you because I'm telling you what, and I hope I'm wrong. But watching this game tonight, and we see the outcome, I'm telling you, you're gonna be throwing something at your television. So what that damn no good. We can't. Hey, I'm telling you, Bruce, it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
I hope I can hang with my words, man. Because right now I'm saying that, but you know what? Sometimes my emotions get the best of me.
It happens to all of us, and lately the past 4 games for the Chicago Bears. We're on with the great Bruce Herron, number 51 outside linebacker, played with the Beloved for 5 years in the greatest city in the world, of course, Chicago, Illinois. Previewing the Chicago Bears Green Bay Packer game and what we anticipate, what we expect that may unfold on Sunday Night Football. And something's got to give, because we know that the past 2 games that the Packers have played, they lost an overtime game last week, which at Lambeau, I believe it was, which was surprising. They eked out one 2 weeks prior to that. So
Jacksonville.
Yeah, so it's not like the Green Bay Packers are clicking on all cylinders, but at the end of the day, Bruce, they still have the greatest, if not one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever laced them up in Aaron Rodgers. And the scary thing about him is the fact that his experience, and I heard some commentators earlier say, hey, you know what? This guy could play another 10 years for the simple fact that he's able to dissect defenses and pinpoint when and where he wants to deliver the ball. So I don't see, and we have one of the best defense in the National Football League when you talk about the Bears.
Absolutely.
But this is going to be a very, very tall task for this Bears football team to, one, hold Aaron Rodgers to limited scoring, and 2, try to see if our offense can muster up something, and if this Mitchell Trubisky can create some opportunities on the offensive ball for the Chicago Bears.
I'm telling you, I'm hoping that the Bears defense had taken an oversized can of spinach and eating their spinach. Like Popeye used to be, eat the spinach, man. He comes out and man, he saves the day, right? And I'm hoping that man, this defensive line and the linebackers, man, I just hope they've eaten enough spinach to come out and just put some heat on them. And you know what? You gotta hit Aaron Rodgers a couple of times in order to get him to throw the ball before he wants to. And if they sit back and allow him to throw that ball, pick and choose receivers, it's going to be a long night. I'm just hoping the defense can put some pressure on them and cause some turnovers. We need at least 2 turnovers from our defense tonight. If you get that, I think we have a chance. So.
Hey, Bruce, this is Dan here. How are you?
I'm
Good,
fine.
good.
How are you doing?
Good. You know, the fact of the matter is the Bears have not lost a game in which Mitchell started this year. But, you know, week after week after week, the running game is pathetic. I mean, by now, shouldn't they have found an answer to that?
Well, that's because of our offensive line, man. I mean, we haven't been able to just perform it on the offensive line. And, you know, I'm hoping that for the last 2 or 3 weeks, this group that they've got playing tonight, they played together for 2 or 3 weeks now, and they should be a little bit more consistent. But, you know, it's not easy, man, to take a backup who doesn't play on a regular basis to expect him to perform like a starter. But heck, you know, and that's saying a lot too, because our starters were not doing that well when they were out there. So, you know, it's going to be a tough task. But I really do. I got a buddy of mine, Tom Sapinto, who's a huge Packer fan, and I got a little bet with him. The Bears by 3.
The Bears what? What'd you say?
The Bears by 3.
That's what.
You're a hometown guy, man.
Wait, that's what you said?
Mm-hmm. That's what I said.
He couldn't even get that out of the way.
Okay. Guess what? Guess what? I got a bet too. Hey, Bruce, I have a bet also. Okay.
What's your bet?
Well, our good friend Henry Hackney Jr., right? He's listening. What's up, Henry? He texts me. He said, "Hey, Henry texts me. He said, "Hey," he said, "Bears by 6, and Mitchell Trubisky is gonna have a good game." I said, "Henry, you want to put a little wager on this?" He's like, "Sure." So I said, "Okay." The wager is, if the Bears win, I gotta buy him an Impossible Burger. Okay? from Burger King.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If when the Green Bay Packers do win, he owes me a pizza from Joe's Pizza in Wheeling. It's one of the best pizzas you will ever have in the Chicagoland area. It's one of the greasiest pizzas that you will have. I don't know when the last time you had a greasy pizza, but it's just so, the grease is just dripping all down your wrist and everything, and you're just folding it up and sticking it in your mouth and just jumping on the. I like the pepperonis and the cheese just dripping all over the place. But it's the greatest pizza, man.
I know that Dad Blaster pizza's got to be good, but I'm telling you, you messed up when you placed that bet.
Why?
Because the bet should have been banana pudding from Darwin. That's what it is. Oh, you missed out, man. I'm telling you.
Well, no.
Henry's wife.
Yeah.
I tell you, Henry's wife.
Yeah.
Baked, man. I'm telling you, boy, she's got the best. She puts her finger in something, man. I don't care what it is. It could be squirrel toes. Man, it's going to be the best squirrel toes you're ever going to take.
It certainly is, man. And happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there listening, and to the Hackneys. And you're absolutely right. Darwin she's, I tell you, I'm smart, man. My stomach knows where to go when it's supposed to go there. And she makes the best shrimp gumbo. Better than anything in Louisiana and New Orleans. Better than any of that. She knocks it down, and I make sure that every year, she'll make a big pot for everybody, but I make sure every year that she makes a separate pot for me, and I get a chance to take it home, eat whatever, freeze whatever. But that gumbo, it's on point every year. But you're absolutely right. She does a fantastic job. And they both gonna kill us because we talking about it. We putting their business out there in the street, man.
I know. I need some.
Yeah, we putting their business out there in the street.
I need some of that gumbo.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
but
man, I'm gonna tell you something. Darwin is the cat's meow, man, when it comes to cooking.
Yeah. It's what the term the term you say. Did you put your foot in it? Oh, she definitely puts her foot in it, man. She gets it. She gets it done.
Put her foot in it.
Oh, she gets it done. We're on with the great Bruce Herring, number 51 of your Chicago Bears, former outside linebacker, joining us on a 3-hour-60 hotline, talking Bears, talking Packers, Sunday night pregame. And Bruce Herring, the reason we got off target was the fact that he said he put a placed a bet on the Bears +3 over the Green Bay Packers. And here, you know what? I always do this, Bruce. I always scratch my head and I go, man, this week, should I take it? And I did the same thing today, Lauren. I said, should I take the Bears on this one? I said, because anything can happen. I mean, that's the way it is. Any given Sunday. I go, wait a minute. I go, okay. They playing the Packers. That's one. They playing in Lambeau. That's 2. They playing on Sunday Night Football. That's 3. They playing against Aaron Rodgers. That's 4. And the offensive line sucks. That's 5. I said,
you got a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's a Bruce.
You got a lot of problems.
God bless you, man. But how do you see the Bears shutting down Aaron Rodgers, scoring some points, and walking away with a 3-point victory?
Well, you know what? I'm not saying they're going to shut him down. Aaron Rodgers, they got a lot, man. I mean, they got wide receivers, they got running backs, they got an offensive line that really. I mean, their aim every Sunday, every game is for keep Aaron upright, and they do a damn good job of it. Sometimes they buckle, like all teams do, but for the most part, they do a hell of a job. But I think the Bears. I'm hoping that the Bears defense can play their butts off, get a couple of turnovers, like I say, and Trubisky not be loose or stupid with the ball. So if all that falls into place, we've got a chance. But if we get out there, man, and go right back into our normal routine offensively of 3 and out and moving the ball maybe 5 or 6 yards in a possession, then we're going to have a long night. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I believe in my Chicago Bears.
Well, Bruce, I do too. But listen, the Packers have scored 30 points in 8 of their 10 games, and the other 2 they scored 26 and 24. My sweet spot for the Bears has been they need to score 20 points. So they need to improve on the 20 and bring Green Bay down from the 30 that they've been scoring every single week.
Well, you know what? I understand. The stats are the stats. The numbers don't lie. But any team is apt to have a bad night. And Green Bay's had a couple this year, and so I'm hoping that this is another game where they're not on their P's and Q's, and we can pull this thing out. I have a lot of faith in my Bears, man. I'm a Bear. I'm a Bear for life. So even when times are tough, man, I still believe in my guys.
I hear you, Bruce. This is Lauren here. So speaking of their
Lauren.
defense, how are you? Defensive lineman Akeem Hicks, he has been ruled out for the game Sunday night.
That's a problem. That's
major
a major
problem.
So without Akeem, man, they typically do not play well.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, another area that's been a bit deficient has been coaching. When we think about coaching as it pertains to this game and just moving forward, what are your thoughts? What needs to be done from the coaching standpoint to be somewhat of a threat to Green Bay with this game tonight?
I don't know. Coaching has been a problem. I mean, even the defensive coaching has been a problem. You go back prior to Nagy, and defensively, I mean, the Bears were just kicking butt. Even Nagy's first year, I mean, the Bears were just kicking butt. Khalil Mack he was all over everything, and I mean, he was all Mr. World. And I don't know what's happened to that damn defense, man. Defensively, I don't know if it's the scheme they're running or what. But all I know is I don't care. It doesn't make any difference how strong your defense is. If your offense can't keep the ball and run some time off the clock and put some points on the board, then your defense is just it's just not going to work. And I'm hoping tonight that they find it within themselves to have the best game of their season.
And we've talked about that before, Bruce, and just from your standpoint, seeing as though you were on that Bears defense, when you have an offense that is underperforming, like our offense is, do you have a conversation with them? Like, what? That they have to be frustrated. You think about Khalil, all of them, I think they have a couple of years more on their contracts, but this is time wasted, essentially. And, they are one of the best defenses in the league. And put yourselves in that position. What do you say to that offense? What's your mindset when you know that the offense is underperforming and you're at the top of your game?
Well, you know what? As a defensive player, there isn't a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot you can say to the offensive players. What you say to yourselves is, hey, listen. Regardless of how our offense performed tonight, we are going to win this game. If we have to score 2 touchdowns on defense, we'll score 2 touchdowns on defense. Let's take the ball. Let's get out and take the ball away. Give it to our offense. If they don't score, let's go out and take it again. And that's the mindset they have to have. I know that was a mindset playing for Buddy. Buddy, because my time with the Bears, we didn't have a great offense. We just didn't. I'm not going to call any names or anything, but we didn't have a great offense. But defensively, our mindset was, hey, if our offense is having a bad day, if they can't get it done, then we're going to get it done. And that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in the 85, when that 85 team, when they won the Super Bowl, man, I mean, shoot, man, that damn defense, man. How many times in a game did that defense come up with the ball and hand it over to our offense? And typically they either it's going to be a touchdown or a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't score a touchdown, that defense would go back out there and they'd get it again.
Yeah.
And it happened like that. But that's got to be the mindset of a defensive player when you have the type of offensive lackluster plays coming from your teammates.
Well, the interesting thing about that 85 defense, Bruce Herron, we're on with the great Bruce Herron, number 51, former outside linebacker with the Chicago Bears. The one thing about that 85 defense, they're in the class of a Michael Jordan, in my opinion. They're in the class of a Michael Jordan. Because I swear to you, and you played the game, and you played the game, but I've never, ever, ever, and they talk about the Ravens, the defense, fine, but no match. I've never, ever, ever, Lauren, marvelous, in my life, I've never, ever seen this before on a football field. Well, where 11 grown men who are being paid to get out there and do their job were afraid to literally go out on the football field to do their job. I'd never, ever seen that in my life because, Bruce, you said, I mean, you take pride in what you are, and you're just like, hey, mano a mano, I got to go up against this SOB. Hey, man, I'm going to see how tough you are. I swear to I've never seen a defense put so much fear in grown men that they literally didn't want to go out on the field to do their jobs because they were too afraid. I ain't never seen that before. And even with Ray Lewis on the Baltimore, I've never seen that before, ever.
So are you saying that you're seeing that now?
Hell to the no. Hell to the no. And the reason being is because this defense, as well as they've been playing, and you talked about the fact that Akeem Hicks is out of this game tonight against the Green Bay Packers, they haven't taken the ball away the way they did back in 18. Mm-hmm. They haven't gotten to the quarterback consistently the way they did back in 18. They're not that dominating defense that they're literally taking the game into their own hands and making it a difference. Yeah. And so that's why you certainly can't put that defense in any of the categories as far as that 85 team is concerned. But here's a concerning factor for me regarding tonight's game against the Green Bay Packers, Bruce, is the fact that earlier, I don't know if you heard the comments of defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano, and he was talking about going up to Lambeau and facing Aaron Rodgers. And paraphrasing, he said basically, you know what? This guy, Aaron Rodgers, he's unbelievable. He's a GOAT. And at the end of his statement regarding this game, he said, I don't even want to go up there. This is your defensive coordinator telling the media against your most hated rival that you don't even want to go up there and face them. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, that's bulletin board material for me. And I'm like, wait a minute. I go, how can you tell your defense and your team all the strengths that this Green Bay Packer team has? And you, I don't even go. I wish I had the comments. I wish I had the cut. He said, I don't even want to go up there. That, to me, man, you don't send material out there like that. What do you think of those comments?
Well, you know what? I think there's no coach. There's no coach. I mean, even at Pop Warner level, that will tell his team, you know what, guys, we really shouldn't dress up for this game because we're going to get our butts kicked. And I think what Pagano was doing was joking with the media, because you know what, there is no way on God's green earth that any coach would tell anybody on his team that we don't have a chance. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I have to believe, and I didn't hear the comments, but I have to believe that it was in a joking way.
No, it wasn't joking. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was breaking down, saying everything. He goes, well, you know, this Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, he goes, he's been in the league for so many years. He knows how to dissect defenses. He's seen everything. And at the end of the soundbite clip that was played, he's like, he was shaking his head, and he's going, I don't even want to go up there.
He being honest.
I don't want you to be. Listen,
you saying what we all think.
I don't want that. Hey, I don't want honesty from my coach. I want my coach to lie to me and say, "We going up there to kick some ass." That's what I want.
Please
tell him, Bruce.
No, man. No. The coach wasn't talking to his team. He was talking to the media. He wasn't talking to his team. I guarantee you, when they get behind closed doors, he's telling his team something entirely different. He is not telling them that.
What's he telling them? What's he telling them, Bruce?
Oh, he's telling them, hey, look, you know, he's running. I mean, they've got footage of all the previous 10 games, and he's saying, look, damn, you look at Aaron Rodgers, you got to put heat on him. This guy, if you sit back and allow him to just pick and choose his spots, he will eat your life. So it's pressure, pressure, pressure all night long. You get tired, raise your hand. We'll get somebody else in there to come in and give you a breather. But damn it, every single play you got to tighten up your chin strap and let's go get some ass. Let's just give everything you got on every damn play. And I guarantee you that's what he's saying to his team.
Well, I hope he's saying that. I hope he's saying that. But
we want to have a chance to win this thing. We got to put pressure on him.
Well, I hope he's saying that. And I hope they can execute, because coming into this game, Aaron Rodgers has 29 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So I hope those words work out in our favor. Hey, let's go out to the phone lines. Tommy from Chicago is joining us on the Rewind Sports 60, the fastest hour in sports conversation. Tommy, what side of Chicago you calling from, brother?
I'm calling from the South Side, and I just wanted to say thank you to Bruce. You know what was absolutely aggravating is when you think of the '85 Bears, nobody wants to talk about the fact that these guys were the monsters of monsters, because the National Football League was just a hell of a league, just like Jordan was king of the kings, man. And so for those guys and Bruce, I just say thank you, man, because tonight, man, I'm already drunk as hell, and I understand why the guy says he didn't want to go up there. Hell, they might as well be taking rakes, man. It just breaks my heart. Thank you, guys, and for the love of God, somebody pray to the football gods tonight.
Thank you, Tommy.
Please.
Tommy's all wired up, isn't he?
Bruce, that's what happens, man. That's what happens.
We all are going to be.
That's what happens, Bruce. It's Bears-Packers.
Hey, man, whatever Tommy's drinking, put it down, man. It's making him think poorly of our Bears. You got to drink something that's gonna give you some excitement and make you grit your teeth and say, yeah, my Bears gonna kick that butt tonight, man. Yeah. And believe it.
Well, here's the deal, Bruce, and you know, we talked about the running game. David Montgomery is getting a start at running back, and you talked about it as far as using him a little bit more effectively, and we know that Mitch Trubisky is getting a start at quarterback. We understand that the offensive line has had, you know, some time to work together and gel together and get some type of cohesiveness together. Would you... This is what I would do if I'm the offensive coordinator. And again, Matt Nagy is, you know, giving Bill Lazor the playbook so he can call the plays, although they're still the Matt Nagy plays. But would you attempt to do something a little bit different as far as the play calling was concerned in this football game, and give David Montgomery the opportunity to run the rock at least 21, 25 times to see if he can lose something? Because I understand offensive linemen, they prefer to run block as opposed to pass block. So would you just give David Montgomery the rock, have that offensive line pin their ears back and just go at it and see what you can come up with on the running game?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've got to. It's all a mindset. They have to develop a mindset where they have a game plan to go into the game. Hey guys, listen. This week we are going to run the football. We're going to run the football, and you know what? When you're running the football and when you're forcing it, David Montgomery, his first 2 carries, maybe he get 2 or 3 yards to carry, but at some point, they keep putting that pressure on him. He's going to break one for 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 yards. He's got that kind of ability, but. It's all on the coaches to develop that mindset. They have to go into a game with the game plan saying, we're going to run the rock. And you know what? And when you get in the game, don't change your plan. Stick with your plan. Run the rock, because when you're running that rock like that, the play action opens up the receivers out in pockets. And now you got everything going. But if you're not running, even when they give him the ball and he's right off guard and he gets stuck at the line of scrimmage, come back and go off tackle, do something. You got to keep running that ball, man. You got to keep running that ball until it starts to open up for you. It opens up everything. But this damn team, I don't know, man. I tell you, I'm so disappointed in damn offensive play calling that it's just with the kind of receivers we have and talent in the backfield, we should actually be running the ball, man.
Yeah, but you said
open up things so that we can get the ball to our speedsters. And that's
Bruce. But you were talking. You're talking about the offensive line as a problem. So their running game has been ineffective all year. And hope we bring our A game, because NBC isn't bringing theirs. They're sending Tirico and Dungy to this game. They're not even sending their A team.
Wait a minute, you don't like Tirico and Dungy?
No, they're not the A team. Michaels and Collinsworth are. Yeah. I'm not degrading them. I'm just saying they're not.
Wait a minute, you just said they're not the A team.
They're not.
Lauren, I thought those were condescending comments.
No, they're the Notre Dame.
Tirico and Dungy, they're the backup.
No, they're the backup. They're the Notre Dame announcers. That's right.
I think those are fighting words, Lauren.
They are.
It's a fact.
It's not a fact.
Sure is.
They just happen to be in the booth, and that's.
I know. Well, and not the A team for
Lauren,
NBC.
what is he talking about over
I
there?
don't know what he's talking
Look
about.
at the depth chart.
Everybody's going to be watching this game
I know.
tonight.
Look at the depth chart. It's like looking at the quarterback, first and second string. That's all I'm saying.
Well, also, too, one of the major problems that we're having, again, amongst many, is we always play the Packers close. The last 5 meetings were decided by 8 points or less. But Green Bay, they're having success from their receiving core. And when you look at our number one wide receiver weapon, Allen Robinson, the talent is there. Also, tight end play has been questionable. What do you see? What changes do you see that need to be made from our receiving core in terms of wide receiver and tight end play? Are they not being utilized enough, specifically for into the show Cole Kmet? What changes can we make to get some more offensive production from our receiving core?
Well, I mean, first of all, they've got to. It's just like I said, they've got to have a mindset. The game plan is, needs to be, not only running the ball, but when you're gonna use your running back, your running game to increase the potential in your passing game. That means you've got to utilize your tight end, man. Komet is a damn good tight end. I mean, let's see how good this kid can really be.
Yep.
Get him the ball, feed him. You got to feed him, and they haven't done that for some reason. I don't know. The play calling has been really, really poor. Really, really poor. With the kind of team that we have, offensive team that we have, the play calling just hasn't been there. And I've really been shocked with the play calling of Matt Nagy. It doesn't matter what down and distance we get in. It's the same suspect calling that we always get with him. And I don't know what's happened to him. I really don't. You know,
Well,
I just don't know.
Well,
I mean,
Bruce, I know. I looked in the crystal ball and I was like, damn, seriously? Crystal ball? That's it? I know what the problem is. Here's the deal. First of all, Tariq Cohen, he's truly the MVP of this offense.
Oh, gosh.
No, yeah, Lauren, that's what we are. Tariq Cohen is the MVP of this offense because when he has the ball, he's going to bring you some excitement. He's going to keep the defense honest, and he's going to work his little tail off to try to make something happen. With him, he's a threat.
So you mean all our problems are because he's out? Come on now. If that's the case, we got a major
Lauren,
problem.
Because when he was in there, at least you had an impact player. You had an impact player with Tariq Cohen. Now, here's the problem. I'm not saying he's, Tariq Hill. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not saying that. But he was the spark that this offensive needed back in. Just look at his play when he was on the field. But here's the problem. And it's Matt Nagy, as you talked about, the play calling. When you lose that type of impact player on your offense that's limited as far as talent is concerned, you do exactly what you guys just talked about, and that's utilize this young kid, Cole Kmet, on the tight end position. Because what's going to happen is now you have somewhat of an offensive option, an offensive threat, utilizing your tight end in the middle of the field. Because once you get into the red zone, you have another veteran tight end in Jimmy Graham who's productive, who gets into the end zone. So between the 20s, I think Matt Nagy dropped the ball, but not utilizing that tight end to take some of the pressure off the offensive line, but also the running attack, because he doesn't like the running attack. Utilize that young kid between the 20s to keep the defense honest, get you some yardage down the field, get into the red zone, which they're capable of doing. We've seen that, and utilize Jimmy Graham. That's where he fumbled the ball because he's fallen in love with his play calling. So don't thank me. Thank the crystal ball that I looked into, because that's the message that I got from it.
Somebody give Jerry some medication.
No, man, I got the medication right here. I got the.
Oh yeah, looks good. You got any extra?
No, man, that's the only thing that I see. That's the only thing I see, because again, if you continue to trot out, you can't. Nick Foles isn't the answer. Mitchell Trubisky isn't the answer. You got a kid you drafted out of Notre Dame as far as your tight ends is concerned. You got a kid you drafted out of Iowa State in the running back position. You got two wide receivers, one in Mooney, who they're trying to utilize, but you're not taking advantage of those weapons that you have, which means you're not really looking into the reality of the situation of what's going on week in and week out. And we see the end result from 5-1 to 5-5 with a 4-game losing streak, Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's the crystal ball.
5-1 was smoke and mirrors anyway.
We got to stop this losing streak. This is not good.
Yeah,
Bruce.
I tell you, this losing streak has got to come to an end. And, no better time to do it than tonight.
Yeah. Bruce?
Yes.
It's a great opportunity for the team.
It is a great opportunity, and you know what?
I'm going to tell you something. I truly believe it. Deep down in my heart, I believe that the Bears can win this game tonight.
They can.
You want to bet?
Absolutely.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I bet you this.
What?
You lose, you make sure that you get in touch with Darwin and tell us to make a banana pudding.
Yeah, okay, so what do I get when I win?
I don't know.
I'll send you a pack of Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
You gonna send me a pack of Kool-Aid? Bears Kool-Aid? Hey, Bruce, you're the best, brother. God bless you, man. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next Sunday, man. Go Bears!
Get this win.
The great Bruce here. Before we're out of here, I got to say, real quick, condolences to a good childhood friend of mine, Johnny Marsh. We just buried him on Friday, and you guys know the random paintball shootings that were going on the south and west side. Well, he was a victim of a paintball shooting over on 118th and Michigan, and he succumbed to his injuries, broken ribs, busted sternum, and collapsed lung, and he passed away at the age of 57 years old. So rest in peace, my brother. We love you.
Rest in peace.
Anything else before we're out of here?
No, if the Bears win, you may see some pigs flying across Lambeau Field. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
Lauren, 10 seconds or less.
Just the COVID, a lot of games that we didn't get to see and a lot of decimated teams because of COVID. So be careful and be safe, everyone. Wear your mask.
Yep, wear your mask. Stay on over there and wash your hands. It's another edition of the fastest hour in sports conversation of Rewind Sports 60 WCPT. Thanks to the great Lauren Cox. We love you. You're looking fantastic. I love you. Hair, you're looking good, getting it done, and you put a foot in the greens. We're looking forward to some food on Christmas. Devin Tingle, thank you so very much. Good job. The marvelous one, Dan Marver. Go Bears. We'll talk to you guys next Sunday. Have a great and safe week. Take care, everybody.
TheRewindSports60.com